On December 2nd, we released our third commercial game, Get to Work, a rage game about climbing the corporate ladder on rollerblades that rewards hitting clean jumps, smooth lines, and precision, and punishes, well, pretty well every mistake. And during our development, playtesters kept saying one thing: I can't wait to see the speedrun of this game. And holy they were right. The number of jaw-dropping, brain-busting strats the runners came up with during our speedrun competition was beyond our wildest expectations.
What in the f*** am I watching?
This is the story of how speedrunners broke our rage game, Get to Work. Now, before I dive in, this video contains a ton of spoilers. So if you plan on playing the game, I'd strongly suggest trying it first and then coming back to this video. You've been warned, here we go. The goal of Get to Work is to reach the top. You start in your parents' basement, work your way through various jobs, and end up as CEO. Now, Get to Work is a hard game. Even the first section of the game, which is used to teach you the main mechanics, caused people to struggle.
Dude, it's not, Okay.
And as you progress through the game only gets harder.
No! The pipe! No! Dude, this.
And harder.
Put a bullet through my
Skull!
And harder.
What the?
And of the 8% of people who actually beat the game, it usually takes them anywhere from 8
Eye to embezzlement.
Yo!
All of your hard work
Let's
has
go!
to 15 hours.
Yeah!
Credit where credit is due, out of all the big streamers, Ludwig beat the game the fastest in 5 hours and 15 minutes.
All of your hard work has finally paid off.
And let me tell you, even as the dev of the game, that's an incredibly impressive time. But speedrunners are built a little different. Day 1 was the Wild West. You see, we were holding a speedrun competition for the fastest times after days 1, 3, and 10. And on day 1, nobody had seen or played the game, so everyone was really just trying to get a feel for the mechanics.
Oh, did you see that? Oh my God! The warehouse manager role is mine! Woo!
Beat the game for the first time, and get a good first run. Dan Corona, a variety streamer known for speedrunning Pogo Stuck, was one of the first runners to submit a competitive time. And for context, Dan beat the game for the first time in under 3 hours.
sub 3 hours! Sub 3!
Like I said, speedrunners are built different. Now, this run has no major skips, but acts as a good baseline for all future runs. This is the entire run from start to finish. And to make it easier to digest, I've split the run into 6 major sections. These sections each have multiple checkpoints, which is what you can see in the built-in speedrun timer we included in the game. The first section of the game is applying for jobs. It's meant to be a massive parkade with very large, forgiving jumps. Once you land your first interview, you're in the pendulum section. These little swinging platforms are called pendulums, and if you hit them at the right angle, they launch you nicely into the air. Individually, with some good timing, they're pretty easy to hit, but as we'll see in later runs, chaining them together is very hard. Dan does it at a casual pace, but completes it with no mistakes, and ends up as a warehouse trainee. This section is relatively straightforward, with several jumps used to teach new players how to maneuver, and it quickly brings you into the first big section of the game, the warehouse. The warehouse is a massive, open structure with lots of jumps and the first slingshot, a grabbable platform that launches the player forward. Dan doesn't use any skips and continues to work his way through the warehouse following the normal path. And as you can see, the red lines, which indicate his route, cross over a lot. And between the various slingshots, the open jumps that weave back and forth, and the sheer speed you can get from all of the elements, you can see there's a lot of room for improvement. Bumper skip. This was obviously incredibly intentional. Doesn't do the second part.
It doesn't even do the second part. Even I do that.
Yeah.
I haven't even beat the game yet.
Yeah. Dan right now is just running on pure, solid, fundamental mechanics. And as you can see as this video keeps going, the room is really big and really open. And he moves into what I call the A-frame section. These black textured A-shaped obstacles are quite tricky and require a great deal of precision, but Dan makes it through into the unpaid intern section where he struggles for a good solid 3 minutes.
The grinders are just trying to like get a solid no mistakes time, no big falls. Dude, it's funny, there's a lot of mistakes too. He's like fucking
But then he does his first skip. This is the 4 floors, and the normal route has you going around and around, gaining height each time. But what's cool about this section is that it takes you back to the same jump every time. But since you gain height, you can jump higher every lap, which is how you climb up the 4 floors. And between you and me, it's definitely one of the levels I'm most proud of. Come on, that's kind of a cool idea. Anyway, Dan figures out if you launch off the oval at the perfect angle, you can get more speed,
Floor 3 skip.
and skip a floor. After beating the rest of the level, he moves on to a new section I haven't shown yet, the Junior Financial Analyst section. This is roughly the halfway point and introduces one of my favorite level features, the giant cogs. These massive cogs spin around, and when you grab onto them and release, they fling you into the air. They're a ton of fun and allow us to create a bigger, more open section than any other level so far. And after traversing all the way through, you end up at the infamous bumper section. This is the section that destroys casual players.
Okay, everyone was saying there was a skip here. Wubby, you can skip this whole area. It's like bait. All right, say goodbye to the ramp, everybody. Chat, wave. We're not gonna see that ramp ever again. What did I do? Wave, chat. Why did I do that? Why did I do that?
Now, bless his heart, even with diagrams and strategic planning, it took popular streamer Pay Money Wubby an hour and 45 minutes to get through this section, which is very normal. And let me say, it was damn entertaining to see him conquer this section.
One of the 2 positions is yours. They created another position for 10.
There are speedrunners who are like, yeah, I'll just go do it in 2 minutes, I'll be back up.
Actually, Dan does it in 1 minute and 58, but potato. And what's really crazy is he does it without any crazy skips and makes a couple of mistakes along the way, but again, is making great time. And moves in to middle management. In my opinion, this is where the difficulty really starts to ramp up. If you look at middle management and you're confused about where to go, well, that's because this section is intentionally designed to be a bit of a maze. The goal is to slowly work your way up the pyramid, but the normal player experience has a lot more looking around,
Not again.
crying, yelling,
Okay.
more yelling,
That's crazy!
and angry.
This game blows. This game blows.
But if you complete the normal route with no mistakes like Dan does, you conquer the maze that is middle management in 2 minutes and 25 seconds and move on to the second part of middle management that we call the giant slope. This section has you traversing jumps back and forth as you climb up to become department head, and takes you into the last middle management section where Dan introduces the first, truly major skip of the game. Now, normally, to beat the final section of middle management, you have to hit some very tricky, precise jumps that loop you around and back, and then hit a big final jump that if you screw up, will punish you severely and drop you all the way down.
Oh no!
But instead of doing the big full loop, he just skips it. Let me explain. This is the wall bounce skip. My intention with this level was for the player to drive up to it, attempt to grab it, but realize that it's just out of reach. And to be clear, every player tries to hit the wall and get up. We knew about this. And so what Dan does is not easy, but at the perfect angle and speed, he bounces off the wall and triggers the hang mechanic. This is the hang mechanic. When you grab onto a lower part of a ledge, the character enters ragdoll mode. And by waving the joystick around, you can flop around and come to terms with all of the progress you're about to lose when you let go. Unless, of course, your game mysteriously crashes.
Your game crashed. This is f***ing weird. Yeah, is it my driver's jet? Is it a patch or something?
However, if you time your flop properly, the momentum will give you a tiny bit of an upward lift, allowing you to recover from platforms.
Let's go.
Now, this mechanic is intentionally janky. Flopping the character is fairly unintuitive, making recovery more difficult. But with good practice, you can really get some decent height.
Oh my god, I'm smelling it.
Now you can tell Dan is still learning the mechanic since it's day one, but with the perfect bounce, he can just barely trigger the hang grab, use that fling to fling himself up, shaving off 2 full minutes of regular run, taking him straight into the final section. Now, if the beginning of the game was a difficulty of 1 and middle management was a 5, the final section is a 20. This is where we take the gloves off and where most new players spend anywhere from 50 to 70% of their playtime. This section is truly difficult, Even our narrator, CDogVA, who reached the final section in 3.5 hours, which is fast, struggled with this section.
I'm the CEO. It's my company. I ousted everyone. I put the board of directors in power. They're mine. No! I really thought I had that. What are the odds that we fail twice, chat? No!
And yes, we made a custom monkey skin just for him, and no, you won't be able to get it. Now, the section is comprised of 3 smaller rooms, and you have to jump between building to building to get to the next part. Every time you have to cross, you have to do so via this double half-oval jump. And because there are 3 rooms, you have to do this jump 3 full times. And this jump is hard. After missing twice, Dan clutches up and rips through the rest of the levels. Yes. With no mistakes, and completes the game.
No, it's a W. That's a W.
In an incredible time of 31:51, solidifying himself as the best speedrunner for the day 1 competition.
That's solid. That's solid. Glitchless.
I'm just kidding, speedrunners are crazy. We're just getting started for day 1.
Dan didn't win?
Dan did not win.
Oh, I thought Dan won.
Motherfucker, Dan wasn't even close.
Wow.
You see, while Dan was grinding for a good time, there were a plethora of other runners exploring the game in
Okay, so it seems like you can climb corners. I clipped out of bounds.
more creative ways.
I've clipped out of bounds.
One creative runner by the name of Cividit had sent us a run with a very interesting discovery. Now, the first part of his run isn't particularly interesting. In fact, he does no skips in the run, and it takes him 16 minutes to get to the unpaid internship. And for context, Dan Corona was here in 7 minutes. But in Cividit's submission form, he accidentally wrote that he got a time of 17:51, which makes no sense. Okay, I take that back. It makes perfect sense.
Is there a patch notes yet?
Don't ask for patch notes, bitch.
No, I don't.
Holy, that's a shortcut.
This is the jump pad ragdoll skip, and it's obviously pretty OP. Now, the rules of the competition had been pretty clear that something as broken as this wouldn't be allowed since it would ruin any skill in the game. And you can see that he messes up the skip a couple of times, and even still manages to skip all the way to the top. Luckily, Cividit reached out very early on before he had committed to learning the skip, but I asked him to record a run with the skip anyway, because let's be real, this bug is hilarious. And very shortly after, other runners like Small Ant found the jump pad bug.
Okay. Whoa, we got it. Holy.
By this point, it's getting late in the day, and several runners have started to really start to grind the game, trying to beat Dan Corona's time. Aspectcore had discovered in his first playthrough that by grabbing onto certain physics-based items, it would, on rare occasion, cause the player's collider to freak out, launching them into the air.
Plan is simple.
Unfortunately, after an hour of trying to make it work, it ended up being too hard to reproduce.
Shave my head and put on my suit. Oh, I'm outside the map.
We also probably would have banned it, so sorry, Aspectcore. But despite that being a flop, he discovered one of the most important skips of the day. This is the interview section, and I glossed over it because after the runners learned about this skip, no one ever runs it again. For normal players, you have to go through these ovals that become increasingly tighter and tighter until you reach the top, where you have to hit a final, incredibly tight oval to complete the unpaid intern section. But Aspectcore discovers that as you're coming around the 4th floor, if you veer left, you can land on this recovery section.
I gotta know what this is. Oh, it is a skip.
And with this skip, you're right at the top, taking you straight to the final tightrope oval, saving you at least 30 seconds, if not more. And with that, Aspectcore starts grinding the game. Now, after 3 heartbreaking runs,
We got time for one more run.
all with promise to go sub 30,
My life, dude. We got time for like one more good run.
and all ending in the last 2 sections, Aspectcore had to concede and let other runners like Frostkiller take the reins, who submitted his run at 5 a.m. Frostkiller introduced 3 major skips, plus a couple of minor ones that really pushed the run forward. Now, because of his low frame rate, his submission is a little nauseating to watch, so I've recreated it at 60 frames per second and kept his times up in the top left. His first 2 sections were relatively standard, so we're gonna skip straight to the warehouse, where he's a full minute ahead just from clean execution, and pulls off the warehouse manager skip. By hitting the jump perfectly, you can get enough speed to land to the left, saving 20 full seconds. Next, he heads to the unpaid intern section and introduces one of his biggest skips in the run. After doing his first full loop, he uses this berm to skip up to the 2nd floor, which gives him enough speed to jump all the way to the 4th floor, meaning instead of doing 3 laps like Dan had to do, he only has to do 2 laps. And now, he can use a Spectacore skip to shave a full 5 minutes off of Dan Corona's time. That's wild. But Frostkiller isn't done. Midway through the cog section, Frostkiller is about to complete the first major part, which has you hitting a massive jump that takes you into the company wine mixer. But instead, he flings with perfect precision to the right and skips this big roundabout loop, saving him 15 seconds as he proceeds into the bumpers, where he is the first runner to successfully complete my pro gamers only route. Since the falls in the bumpers are so punishing, we thought it'd be kind of cheeky to add a much faster but more difficult route. And most people who try it, pro gamers only, end up regretting it. But he pulls it off flawlessly on day 1, which is insane, and allows him to move on to middle management well ahead of Dan, where he introduces his final skip. In the pyramid section, the normal route is incredibly windy, and one particular curve right here is an absolute run killer. But instead of going right and winding all the way through the pyramid, well, it turns out, with the right angle and speed, you can just go left. Now, Dan also used this skip, but to my knowledge, either Frostkiller or Small Ant found the skip, so I just included it in this run. But you can see just how big of a skip this is. And with no other new innovations up his sleeve, all he has to do is execute. And despite having a slower department head and vice president, Frostkiller crushes Dan Corona's time with a 23:48, shaving off 8 minutes and 3 seconds. And if you look at a breakdown of the 2 runs, you can see how big of a time save these skips had on the run, and they found them on the first day. It's so impressive. And what's so crazy is if you look at the achievements of the game, we created a secret achievement for players who beat the game in under 30 minutes, thinking that players maybe one day would break sub 30. And in the first day, Frostkiller went sub 25. But what's even more mind-blowing is the fact that Frostkiller didn't win. Aha, I did it again! These speedrunners are crazy. The winner of day 1 came out of nowhere and submitted a run with an hour left. What's so interesting is that for most of his run, Karem doesn't innovate from Frostkiller at all.
He doesn't even go for my skip. Yo!
And definitely leaves some room for improvement in his execution.
Does he do the bumper? Does he do the bumper? Uh-huh.
Nice and slow. He doesn't even rip.
Oh, he does do it. He does do it.
And in fact, doesn't know about 3 big skips that Frostkiller uses. Good for him.
Okay, good for him.
Doesn't skip left.
Doesn't skip left.
He doesn't even go for the skip? Really? That's like a 10-second time save. No way. They don't even go for the cog jump, even the lower cog, which is totally free every run.
But by having a nearly perfect run,
bro just doesn't make any mistakes.
It's like no screw-ups. It's a very clean.
Karem is only 16 seconds behind Frostkiller when he enters the bumpers.
Okay, how's he do this?
Oh, he just wings it. Oh my god. Okay, pro gamer.
Straight down.
Does he pull it off? No, he just doesn't even bother.
Go straight for this one. I mean, this one is really nice and clean and reliable.
Very, very safe. Yeah, the intention is for people to discover it. That's why the sight lines are like lined up so you can kind of peer into it. Because I don't.
Oh!
Interesting.
Nice.
Oh, that's clean.
Wow,
Good
very
for him.
clean.
Woo! What an angle on that. Holy!
Now it turns out Frostkiller also used that massive skip, and so heading into middle management, Karem is still 15 seconds behind, and unfortunately blunders his run. And completely removing any of that frustrating slow parts. What the hell is this? He must have just screwed up, unless... Okay, he just screwed up. Okay. Oh, okay, this is new.
Oh, he's trying
that's
something.
a new strat. I did not know about that.
That's the type of thing that I wanted to see, because that saves me from the awful climb in that section.
This skip is huge and saves Karem from having to loop all the way around to go up a floor, And now, the route is much simpler, and Karem is only 16 seconds behind. And because he isn't making any mistakes, by the time he enters the giant slope, he has completely caught up to Frostkiller. Now, during the day, Small Ant had made a huge discovery in the giant slope section.
Don't go into the corner in the building. Coming sharper, you start higher on the second jump. What do you mean, like, coming from like this angle, you mean? I'm giving you a sub.
And both Karem and Frostkiller use this strategy, but Frostkiller goes left and Karem does not. As you can see, the skip lets them avoid doing all of this, which is huge. But when Frostkiller goes left, he's actually backtracking, and now has diminished the impact of his initial skip because he has to turn around and continue on the normal route. Karem, on the other hand,
What are they doing now?
uses the little bump to get onto the ramp.
Really?
And now, Karem has skipped having to do both this and this. And without having to do any backtracking, Karem is now 15 seconds ahead. But he has one more trick up his sleeve. The last part of the giant slope section has you hitting these massive slope jumps. And despite being wide, you actually have to follow the black lines pretty precisely to complete this section. But Karem ignores the black lines and hits a different route.
We don't do that. Unless this is related to... Okay.
Karem has found the biggest skip of the entire day, because the normal route has you going through the inside of the building along this incredibly slow tightrope section that you can't speed through. This platform is just too tight, and if you screw up, the run's dead. It happened to a Spectacore. And now Karem is 50 seconds ahead of Frostkiller as he heads into the final section where he's the first to find any skip, albeit small, in this final section. Now the first two rooms are completely standard, but again, nearly perfect execution. This guy isn't missing anything.
Of course he gets it.
And then he introduces his final skip.
It's the first one.
Oh, he skips 3.
It's the fourth one.
Wow.
Lines off the whoa.
Okay,
whoa.
that one's crazy.
That is crazy.
Oh,
That's risky.
Jesus, that would make me so nervous this far into the run.
Yeah, and
That
it's a
is
big ball.
huge. That was so clean. Holy. And completes the run, winning the day 1 competition with a monstrous time of 20:46, 3 minutes faster than Frostkiller and 11 minutes faster than Dan Corona. With the first leg complete, we entered the second leg of the competition that this time lasted 2 days instead of 1. And so began the quest to go sub 20. And for the first day, no competitive times were submitted until at 3 a.m., Dan Corona submitted a new run with a ton of new strats. You see, during the day, we had noticed there were 2 groups forming. Those that were very interested in discovering strats, bugs, and wild skips, and the grinders who were interested at getting really good at the game. Dan Corona started calling the strat finders the scientists, which I quite like, so I'm going to use it. And in our Discord, they were hard at work cooking up new tech in the lab and sharing their results. Dan had taken all of those findings and was trying all night to combine them into one cohesive run. Dan had 3 major skips and 2 minor ones, but couldn't string them together. And coming off of a devastating run that was ruined by a very rare bug where you fall off the slingshots, which is now fixed, Dan's mental was at an all-time low.
I'm 1630 in the second to last area of the game, and I get stuck.
And since he had to work in the morning, this was his last run of the night.
Last one.
The first part of his run is very standard, so we're actually going to start in the warehouse, because during the day, no one cooked harder on strats than Small Ant. He was the first to discover that I had placed a very sneaky slingshot.
It seems like
here.
landing here, going in this, then landing directly on this. Nice. That's so clean, dude. That's so cool.
Now, because it was OP, my intention was for it to be hard to get to. You had to hit this horizontal slingshot, dive through the upper hole, into a jump, down this giant tube that shoots you out, land on this tiny section of the ramp and pop up, and voila, you can use the slingshot to rocket you up. And runners like a Spectacore were trying to learn this route, but weren't having much luck.
What am I doing here? I don't belong here. Oh, motherfucker.
Fortunately, Small Ant discovers that you don't need to do the hard part. If you veer off from the intended route, you can ride the wall to access the slingshot. Now, it's not as fast as the route I had in mind for the runners, but it still saves Dan a ton of time. Moving up to the unpaid intern section, Dan makes a minor improvement to the interview skip, where if you hit it perfectly, you can skip up, avoiding going lower. Now, it's a minor skip, but this will come into play later on, so I wanted to point it out. Now, this is not a perfect run, and Dan makes some pretty big mistakes, so there's some real room for improvement, but the skips he introduces in the last section are so big that he can afford to. In fact, after ripping through middle management, Dan is actually 14 seconds behind Karam's original run. But again, because Small Ant and the other scientists were cooking so hard during the day, Dan is armed with some new strats and hits this gray section, bumping left. Now, I think now's a good time to explain the final section of the game. This is the first part, the department head section. And to start, you hit these jump pads in a massive loop. But by hitting the gray rail, you can just skip all of it. The rest of the department head section combines everything the players have learned throughout the rest of the game. You have jump pads, winding and precise jumps that are chained together, and the slanted ramps from middle management. It's windy, it's so punishing, and it's slow, and up until now, it's lacking any major skips. But during the day, speedrunner Hikazi shared a new strat with Dan.
Go up this wall, get into this crack, and you just ride along it. Boom. Saves you 3 or 4 seconds if you go full speed.
And now the tables have turned, and Dan is 14 seconds ahead of Karam.
I'm like a monorail, bitch.
But Dan has one final trick up his sleeve. This is Karam's original route. He hits every jump pad and follows the normal route. But Dan skips the jump pads, rides the corner, and instead of going straight, he hooks right. And now the route looks like this. Now, I'm not sure who found it first, because earlier in the day, Small Ant had found an even more optimized version where you just use the jump pads, saving even more time.
That's what we need to learn how to do, baby.
But Dan seems to create his own variation, so they probably discovered it each on their own. And with that, Dan clutches up with his last run of the night and gets a world record.
It's not sub 20, but it's world record still, boys! Let's fucking go!
And with the 2023, the quest to break sub 20 inches closer. Dan continues to hold the world record for nearly 24 hours until Frostkiller submits a new run, with 1 minor skip and 2 massive skips. The run starts off pretty standard until he reaches the warehouse. And again, I had to recreate his run since the low frame rate is pretty hard on the eyes. Now, Frostkiller has learned about my secret slingshot, and despite not going for my intended route, he's found a minor adaptation where he hooks right, skipping a ton of extra route. Again, a minor change, but once we move into the junior financial analyst section, he pulls off the infamous wine mixer skip. First discovered by speedrunner Sheekins, after you launch off the last cog, you have to land this massive gap and run right to continue your path. But if you time it perfectly and ride the wall all the way up, you can actually land at this high point. And to illustrate how big of a time save this is, you can see that by doing the wine mixer skip, you eliminate having to do all of this, which shaves off nearly a full minute from Dan's run. Now, beyond this, his run is pretty standard, but because of the wine mixer skip and by only making a couple of mistakes, by the time he enters the department head section, he's 2 full minutes ahead of Dan. And then, while crossing the gap into the final section, Frostkiller misses the jump and lands in the recovery section. You see, because this jump is so hard, I created a bit of a recovery. So if you mess up,
fuck my life.
1, you don't fall all the way back down to the bottom. But 2, this little jump will launch you all the way back to the half oval jump, where you can try one more time. And most people do manage to get across their second try. But Frostkiller actually doesn't mess up and has a different plan. He drops down and with perfect precision hits this recovery jump pad and skips all the way up. Now, when you see it done, it seems so OP and so easy, but when I was building it, it wasn't obvious at all and really only works at this very specific angle and speed. Speedrunners, am I right? Now, this skip, which was first discovered by you La Crevette, is actually 2 seconds slower than Dan's route, but it's the catalyst to something much bigger later on in the competition, so I had to show it. And with that, Frostkiller shatters the sub-20 barrier with a time of 18:29. For the next 12 hours, the competition is unsuccessful in dethroning Frostkiller's time. And with 12 hours left, most of the hardcore grinders had started to focus on the last leg of the competition, which, unlike legs 1 and 2, was glitchless. And with 2 hours left in the competition, a new runner, who was also focused on glitchless, submits a new run. This is Elving, who submitted a run with only a couple of minor tweaks to Frostkiller's, but just really improves on the execution. Starting in pendulums, he's the first person to successfully chain these pendulums together. Now, it's not that big of a time save, but it's so hard to do. During development, I could never do it, so I wanted to highlight it. I think it's really cool. And Elving is finally the first person to use my warehouse skip, which if you can't tell, I'm kind of happy about because I put in a lot of work to create it. And to top it off, his execution is basically flawless. I mean, he is hitting every jump perfectly, getting the perfect amount of height. It's pretty impressive. And that puts him 10 seconds ahead of Frostkiller. Again, in middle management, a minor tweak to the route, where he uses a new small ant strat.
Okay. Grab. Hold left. Up, 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 up. Good, good, good. All right.
Over on the giant slope, he uses another small ant skip that saves a ton of back and forth. This is Frostkiller's route, and like I said, it's a big old back and forth, and this ledge is too high for players to get up, so you have to go around, unless of course, you hit it perfectly, like Elving does. And it does have a bit of backtracking, but it is a lot faster. And with no other skips, he closes out his run with a beautiful 18:17, shaving off 12 seconds from Frostkiller's time to take first place in the second leg with a glitchless run, no less. Now, going glitchless in a leg that allowed glitches surprised me. I thought glitches would play a big role, but between runners being hyper-focused on the final leg, which was worth the most money, and with the glitches that were being found not making that big of a difference in time,
Doing a little rat climb.
It turned out to not be the case. Until 30 minutes before the deadline, Karem submitted another run. And I hope you're ready to buckle up because this mother did it again with 6 major innovations. Now, I just wanted to start by playing a tiny bit of his run throughout the parkade. I've really glossed over the parkade because, to be honest, there haven't been any crazy skips, but it's just kind of satisfying to see someone run the optimal route. And admittedly, it's quite easy to learn this part of the run. Pretty much every runner is doing this no problem, which means if you're interested in speedrunning the game, I'm just saying, this part is doable and the game is available on Steam and Xbox. Anyway, Karem continues to hit the perfect route, and like other runs in Leg 2, only really starts to innovate in the warehouse, where he introduces probably the most famous and most impactful skip of the entire competition. I've seen a ton of innovations. Someone found my slingshot, which is really exciting, so I think there's...
What the f was that? Wait, go back. Is he like wiggling his controllers? What is he doing? Okay. He just gets like a ton of vertical air. That's cool. Nice job coding it, Isto. I would have done that. I would have.
Oh my god.
This whole game's broken.
Do you know how long we've tested the slingshot for?
This whole game's broken. Don't do it again. Don't do it again.
There's no way. He just skipped the entire level. He just skipped the entire level. I don't understand.
Well, this speedrun's gonna end up being 30 seconds.
Given how important this skip is, I think it's worth explaining what's happening. First discovered on day 1 by runner Hello S, and then refined by Big Willie that same day, it turns out that if you grab onto the very top of the slingshot, it produces some unexpected results.
Wait a second. I think you're onto something.
Many days after the speedrun competition, we finally figured out what is actually happening. Here's what the physics system sees. These are the slingshot's colliders. In the normal case, the player grabs onto the slingshot, and on release, we apply a fixed velocity to the player. This is so they always launch in the same direction and at the same speed. It makes the slingshots more dependable and more fun. But if you are a sneaky speedrunner and roll up the slingshot and grab the top, the slingshot and the player's collider will get out of sync and the player can end up here. Why that happens, it's complicated, so we're just gonna skip the explanation. But when they do get out of sync, the physics system goes, wait a second, you're not supposed to be inside of the slingshot. I better try to push you out. But at the exact same time, our slingshot system goes, time to apply the velocity to you, good sir, and send you on your way. And the two get added together, giving you this. So not only does Karem get shot straight up, but he has found a way to get more velocity from the slingshots than we had ever intended. It's insane. And because of that, he clears the entire warehouse in 1 minute and 30 seconds, which is 30 seconds faster than Elving. He continues to run a clean, unpaid intern and junior financial analyst, and by the time he gets to middle management, he has continued to hold a 30-second lead. But everything in middle management and beyond is where Karem truly shines. Regular standard stuff, and then now he's like, this is normally a recovery route. Like, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. This is recovery, like the slingshot.
No, he's gonna break your...
Oh! Of course.
Now, other runners like Frostkiller knew about the top grab, but it's tricky, and even he couldn't pull it off, and had to resort to a different route. But Karem's execution is top-notch and lands him 3 levels higher. And you don't need to top grab to do this skip. You can do it pretty much every time by using the slingshot normally, but Karem is just flexing on the haters as he prepares to move into the giant slope, where he has another huge trick up his sleeve.
I mean, he just skipped all of middle management. He skipped like the whole damn thing. Oh no.
By hitting this lower ledge, he carries the momentum from the slingshot to ride up the slope. And if you look at the normal middle management route and compare it to Karem's, it's so nasty. I mean, just look at how windy the original is, and he just skips it all. And normally, this path forces you into this exit point, where you just can't generate enough speed. But his skip lets him carry so much momentum, he can just ride straight up. Even compared to the other runners who have to backtrack, it's just such a big time save. At the top of the giant slope, he of course pulls off his signature skip.
Time to see how the greats do it. Genuinely though, like look at this gameplay.
And then, by using the wall bump skip, he enters the department head section a full minute and a half ahead of Elving, and doesn't waste any time introducing a new skip. Now I'm worried there's another slingshot. I don't...
Where are you going? Where is
That's
he?
so much height.
Wait, why is he pausing?
I don't know. Why
is he?
You see, Karem has paused the game to open up a metronome that is playing at exactly 215 beats per minute, and then proceeds to climb
This is
straight up the wall.
This is a bad locus, though. We're cooked.
And if you're wondering if you can just climb up every single wall in the game, you cannot. This is just the magic of speedrunners. Let me explain. This is Small Ant. He's a speedrun-focused streamer who picked up the game on day 1, and on his first playthrough, he discovered that some walls are climbable.
What if we just like Spider-Man over there?
And before even beating the game, he climbed.
Come on.
And he climbed. And he climbed. And to beat the punishing final level, you must jump back and forth between 2 very tall buildings. Unless, of course, you just climb the whole thing.
Bro, what are you doing? What, is he mashing his way up the building? He's been like this for 10 minutes? Where is he even in the context of the level?
There's CEO.
This is the grab mechanic, and there's 3 major pieces to understanding how he's breaking the game the way that he is. The grab acts as a braking system for the players to slow down. When you're going really fast on flat ground, you slide a bit and then stop. It's incredibly helpful on tight platforms and giving the players more control over your very slippery character. And when you're on steep slopes and vertical walls, the player can grab and slow themselves down.
No. No.
This lets them evaluate where to fall to, which again makes the game a little less punishing, because let's be real, it's a pretty punishing game. Lastly, we added what we call the release boost, which gives the player a tiny boost of speed right after they release the grab. During development, players kept slipping off the edge and getting really frustrated because it felt like they should be able to scooch over the edge. You see, behind the scenes, the player is actually a giant ball. This is what the system sees, a big old ball rolling around. The player model doesn't affect gameplay at all, so when the ball approaches a ledge, you can see that this point of no recovery visually makes sense. Your brain goes, of course the ball would slip off the edge. But the model looks like it should be able to recover. And video games are all about what feels right, so we created a mechanic called the release boost. When you release the grab, we increase the friction on the ball for 1/4 of a second. And when you're on the edge or on a wall, that extra friction helps the ball just squeak over the edge. Unless, of course, you furiously spam the grab, which essentially gives the ball a permanent friction boost.
He's a gamer. Ah!
Now, we knew about this, so we tagged every piece of geometry in the game as either slippery or non-slippery. Slippery geometry, which you can see is on the walls and vertical objects, stops the system from applying the extra friction, so you can't spam the grab button and climb all over the place. The system is foolproof. You cannot cheat the system, unless the level designer, aka me, forgets to add the correct tags to a handful of geometry and a particularly motivated speedrun streamer tests every piece of geometry in the entire game on day one. Now when that happens, well, it turns out the entire final section of the game can be skipped. However, wall climbing is incredibly inconsistent. That's why Small Ant spent 10 minutes just climbing the last wall, and none of the other runners like Dan could figure out how to make it consistent. Until one of the scientists posted a video of him climbing. Cividit asks why there's a random clicking noise in the background, in which he casually responds, metronome. Because apparently, if you repeatedly tap the grab key at 215 beats per minute, you can consistently wall climb. Which also means he probably tried so many different BPMs to make this work. Which is insane? Impressive? Probably both. And Karem has discovered one additional thing. Apparently, if you increase your frames per second, you can climb faster, which is why his frames go from 60 to unlimited. But Karem, armed with top grabs and a metronome, skips the entire department head section, and is the first person to finally find a skip in the second last room.
Top grab?
Oh, the top grab skip.
Ooh, risky one.
Oh, he's doing another top grab.
Another top grab. Straight up.
Wow.
Lands on here. There's enough speed on this? Oh, we need to flip?
Oh my god.
Just to barely do it. Wow. I was like, I don't think there's enough speed on that one. Yeah, that's funny.
Again, another massive time save that carries him through to the end of the run with a staggering 1450, nearly 2.5 minutes faster than Elving, earning him first place in both Leg 1 and Leg 2. And with that, it was time to move on to the final leg of the competition, the Glitchless run. With 6 days to grind and the biggest prize pool, everyone was focused on winning this leg of the race. And because it was glitchless, Karem's winning run wasn't valid for this leg, setting the world record back to 1817, which also reopened the quest to go sub 15. But it wasn't long before that was broken because Small Ant had been grinding. Now, while Small Ant rips through the parkade, I wanted to explain the rules of the final leg. You can't clip out of bounds, wall climbing is allowed, since it's an intended feature, but we patched the really important walls to not be climbable, like the end section. And our whole team met and decided that top grabs should be kept in permanently as a feature, not a bug, since they're so cool. And because of those rules, most of Small Ant's run is pretty much the same as Karem's, except for the final section, because we patched out the wall climb. This means that runners have to start from scratch and re-event how to run this final section. Now, the top grab you're seeing here looks big, but it turns out to be a very minor skip that really only saves a couple of seconds. Because without the wall climb, they're forced to drop down to the main entrance. And if you remember, this section is slow and tedious. And yes, there are some minor skips like veering left at this jump pad, and believe it or not, Small Ant bungles up this skip, and now he has to do the full route. So without the wall climb, the runners are at a massive disadvantage that
That's better.
think will make sub 15 impossible. This skip, first found by Discord user Anton, lets you essentially skip the entire department head section. And it seems pretty simple, but it's actually pretty tricky, and the skip is quite elegant. So let me explain. The way the jump pad normally works is when you enter this red zone, the jump pad will apply an upward force to the player. So if you come in from a normal angle, the player's velocity will look like this, and adding the jump pad's velocity to the player results in this, and they happily bounce away. But if you were to collide with the lower section, Well, most of the time you splat against the wall. But if you can hit the wall just under the speed threshold that doesn't cause you to splat, you'll bounce up. And if your collider is even a fraction within the jump pad's collider, it will trigger the bounce, which, by the way, isn't easy to do. But if you pull it off, the player's velocity is now pointing up, and so the resulting velocity is also up. And after a clean VP section, Small Ant is the first to use the Lord Mouse skip. Lord Mouse had been actively submitting runs, but other runners had been so cracked that I haven't had a chance to show him.
Skipped quite a bit.
But all credit goes to him for finding this one. And not only is the normal route slow and windy, but it's also hard. So by hitting the jump pad, you could just skip that hard section. And with just those 2 new skips alone, Small Ant manages to claim a new world record of
1643. I never saw a 17 or an 18, and I never will. 2 quick ones.
But only several hours after, Dan Corona strikes back with only a very minor optimization in the parkade, and then transitions that into a pendulum skip.
Ooh, I could have sent it there.
And takes the world record back with a 1629. By day 5, the quest to go sub 15 continues as runners Not Edge introduces a minor skip in middle management where he top grabs to get a little more height, and with good technique, runs a 1543, shaving 45 seconds off of Dan Corona. But at the exact same time that Not Edge takes the world record, Dan Corona was grinding the game and was having,
oh my god, I'm such a f***ing idiot,
a tough day. With fall after fall after fall, he wraps up the day with the exact same time as Not Edge with a 1543. But unfortunately, it didn't matter because Small Ant had the better execution of the day. And with only one tiny tweak, where the runners learned that riding around the curve in middle management was actually faster, and with good execution, Small Ant is the first to go sub 15.
1459, that's the sub 15, baby.
But the battle between Dan and Small Ant wasn't over. And Dan decides that the only way to win is to think outside the box.
I need to lock in. We gotta think of other ways. How do we lock in and become world record holder? There's only one answer. Now we're ready to get world record, chat. Now we're ready.
And with added aerodynamics, he shaves off 9 seconds to set a new world record of 1450.
Go, baby! Let's go!
But despite this being a world record, Dan has made some mistakes in the final section, leaving some room for improvement. And Karem capitalizes on that. And despite not introducing any new skips, submits a 1358, shaving off 14 seconds just from pure execution alone. And now, there's almost no room for improvement until new skips are found. But I said, almost no room for improvement. And Dan Corona comes back with a vengeance, with a generational run, devoid of any major mistakes.
Get there.
Except for that one. And unfortunately, it's the end of the weekend and the start of the work week, which means Dan is done grinding. But more importantly, by day 7, Karem has found some new tech. Now, for the sake of suspense and for brevity, I'm going to show where the skips are, but reveal them in the final winning run. But what's so interesting about this submission is for the very first time, someone has found innovations in the first 2 sections. What they are, you'll have to wait and see. But they're big enough that Karem secures a new world record of 1236. Tons of runners were trying to catch up, but just couldn't. A Spectacore PB'd with a 1520, EMAYTEE with a 1505, Frostkiller ran a 1322, and Bronze Blaze ran an impressive 1308. But again, not enough. Until day 8, where a brand new runner emerged. This is Lance, the former only up world record holder who had learned about the game only a couple of days prior and had been grinding offline. Even though he didn't submit this run, word had gotten out that he had beaten the world record. So I reached out and got a hold of the footage and verified that it was in fact true, because Lance and Not Edge had figured out a massive skip in the last section. But with the skip being held secret, Lance's time of 12:12 was the first run to truly put Karem in the hot seat. And for all of day 9, Karem and the other runners were unsuccessful in dethroning Lance's time. And on the final day, day 10, Lance's time remained untouched. And with 12 hours left, no response from Karem. 10 hours, no response. 8 hours, no response. But with only 6 hours left, Karem submits an 11:46. With 3 massive skips and 3 minor skips, the innovations are starting to pile up. That whole night, Lance had been grinding to beat his time, and with only 5 hours left, Lance PBs with an 11:55, 9 seconds short of Karem, and then concedes, revealing his strats to the rest of the competition, leaving Karem victorious. With 4 hours left, Bronze Blaze goes 12:26, but again, not enough. And with 3 hours left, a runner by the name of Space Hunter comes out of nowhere and submits an 11:41, shaving off 5 seconds of a time that took Karem all week to get. And when I say come out of nowhere, I mean they didn't submit any runs prior, and their only message in the Discord was a link to the run and their time. And now there's not enough time to respond, and the clock continues to run down. With 2 hours left, Karem cannot beat the time, and the clock continues to run down, and with an hour left, Karem can't beat the time. Whew. And now that it's over, a ton of other runners are starting to submit their best times. And I want to highlight the ones that went sub 15, especially Brandwagon with a huge 12-minute. And of course, Karem with an 11:40? Submitted with 50 minutes left, he manages to go 1 second faster. 1! Talk about clutch. Whew. Now, before I show the winning run, I just want to thank everyone who ran the game and to everyone who submitted, especially to our winner. That's right, baby, it's not over. The winning time was ran live with 20 minutes left by the only runner who had any chance of beating Karem himself. That's right, in the very last hour, Karem goes 11:40 and then shaves off another 12 seconds to guarantee his win. For the sake of entertainment, I'm actually going to show off Karem's 9:57 that he runs a week later, since it's exactly the same, but with 2 more massive skips. Enjoy.
Okay, I don't feel like there's too many shortcuts in this game. I guess at the...
Oh mein Gott, das wird so satisfying jetzt.
What the heck was that? Huh?
Das war ein kleiner Skipper, den hier genommen hat.
What the heck was that? Hi?
I'm sorry, what the fuck? Wait. What the fuck did he just do?
I saw these, but then I forgot about him.
Out of the first room in 30 seconds.
Why are there bouncy pads there? Ride the wall.
Ui, Alter, diese komplette Sektion geskippt. Holy shit.
Why are there bouncy pads? Is that literally a dev path?
What just happened?
Hits these without stopping? No way! Oh my god, that was fast. Good RNG? Oh, terrible RNG. He almost
quit.
Did
he consider quitting there? What was that?
Bro, he almost quit because he got bad RNG. Wow!
His camera movement's so good.
I'm glad he kept fighting.
Ah nee, das ist nicht der Start, ne? Das ist ein anderes. Ja, ich erinnere mich. Das ist ein Fake-Start.
Oh, this part. I remember this part. I was so frustrated.
Yeah. You want to lead where your next jump is. He's going to lead right again. Yeah.
Okay, damn. Okay. Shit, I was unfamiliar with your game.
Hits this, tight corner, hits this. Broski.
You can do that?
Another FPS change. I wonder why you have to change. I mean, I guess you don't lose time.
On the underside of the bounce pad?
Oh mein Gott, was?
Wait, there's nothing in there. What would you...
Bro, halt's Maul. Holy shit.
Yeah, I would have done that too. What the fuck was this jump pad? What the hell is that jump pad? What the fuck is going on?
Piece of shit.
He's lowering the FPS? What does that do? Does that like supercharge you off or something?
Plays like, wait, skips the thing? Oh my god, you can do that?
Doesn't even make sense gravitationally.
Oh! Yeah, the pauses are him pushing his frame rate, so I think the top grabs are easier.
Whoa. Whoa.
Nice guy. I should do that. What are you doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? What the fuck are you doing? Bro! Wait, that's so sick.
All right, what about this room?
This is basic for a CEO. Okay.
Oh, nice. That's smooth.
Oh, I was so frustrated this part.
Finde ich, gab es nur einen crazy Skip, ansonsten ist die Ausführung einfach gut.
Further bounce. Oh, does it only work on the jump pads?
Boom. Okay, what does he do here? Is there anything different?
Okay, so this one you skip to floor 4. I probably do this a similar skip to this guy.
Oh, just nice little corner. Nice corner there. Hits this, hits the middle, hits the bottom.
I guess they go from 2nd floor to 4th. Oh. Oh, very nice. Okay, yeah, that's a neat little skip.
What?
Eat it a little more optimally, I guess.
Okay, he's gonna do the rest of it like a peasant.
Yeah, every jump is very smooth, yeah.
A little more shallow than I think he's just trying to get there faster, which makes a lot of sense. Not trying to get max height, and then max height, and then yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ah, sick.
Yeah, that's
okay.
fucking cracked. Doesn't have to go all the way over and go. That's cracked. That's so cracked.
He does have like stitch hands. It feels like he's got extra paws.
I knew about that, but man, I tried. I couldn't do it. You have to hit the exact right spot and then bounce.
Okay, this is there's no cheating the cogs.
Oh yeah, this is super smooth.
What does he do here? Like angles his body, hits the thing, boom, boom, never slows down, doesn't do a full wheel turn.
Das hier ist alles super, super, super easy, sage ich. Macht halt sehr gut und sehr schnell.
Cogs is cogs. People are calling it a squeak skip. That's probably not accurate, but.
And I guess they skip all the way up the wall here. Oh yeah. Oh my god, the height is crazy.
Oh fuck yeah. Oh my god, he nailed it. What the fuck?
Bro, what the fuck?
What?
What the fuck? Okay, das ist ein verrückter Skip. Holy shit.
I'm just happy I got the collectibles. Getting collectibles in these games is so painful because they tend to be like very risky to do.
This section busted my balls. This section is hard.
What?
Oh, what? Oh, shit.
Oh my goodness. What in the fuck am I watching?
Oh mein Gott, hier ist der Hut.
Bro, what the fuck was that? Dude, that's cracked.
Yeah, but he didn't get the hat, chat. So did he really beat the game?
Factually, it is. Okay, I thought there might be a way to skip that. Oh.
Oh my god, he held onto the ledge to save a second. Okay, yeah, skip it all. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, why not?
Oh.
Wrong way.
Oh, I know this trick. I can't do this.
Definitely the wrong way.
Hier war ich auch so lange stuck. Bro, was?
How did he jump?
Was hat er gemacht?
Marginally.
Oh, what?
What? No, you can't do that. No, you just can't do that.
Okay, he's gonna go to the left here, I think.
Alter, what the fuck?
Gets here, turns around.
Yeah. Yeah. I went right. I think you're supposed to go right.
Okay, auch lief, okay.
Okay. Oh.
Digga, Halsmaul. Halsmaul, Digga. Was?
That skips a lot.
What in the fuck am I watching? Are we playing the same game?
Atriarchy. What is he doing now?
Okay. Oh, that's a fail. Okay, some improvement to be had.
What is he? What is he doing? What? Wait, where are you going?
Wait, up there too? Oh, damn.
Oh my god! Bro just skipped half.
Okay, you have to go in the hole.
What the fuck?
Wait, what? Where's he going?
You don't have to go in the hole?
No, don't tell me you can skip this entire section.
Oh my god.
That's some horse shit.
What the heck?
Dude, he's like in the ending rooms at 7:30.
Digga, warte mal, was? Warte mal. Was hat er hier?
What's he doing now? Why is he changing the FPS?
That's insane!
Oh my god. No way. No way!
Wait, why would you go down there? You could have done the other jump.
Oh, he saved himself too. Wow.
Oh no, he's gonna break the game, isn't he? No, you can't get up. No!
No way!
Oh, okay.
No! And you don't even need to go on the ramp. I'm a moron.
Dude, this is crazy.
What? Oh, when you skip that part?
Yeah, I should be doing that. That's just easy.
I do remember this place. I spent most of my playthrough was this place.
What is that settings menu?
Okay, this section, I feel like I'm low-key world record.
What's this?
Pace. Okay, this
Where are you
is
going?
cheating,
No,
right?
no way.
He's cheating. Bro, he's cheating.
No
He's
way,
fucking
dude.
on Icarus's
Dig
way.
out.
He's cheating, I swear to God, he's cheating.
No way. Using the support
He's like
pillar?
glitching through the fucking map and shit.
Digga, my first
No
try.
way. Okay,
Bro, das
that's
ist so
much crazier than I
schwer.
thought it'd be.
Okay, what do you do here?
You're not gonna make that.
What do you do here?
No, what is he gonna do with this? He's gonna be nasty, isn't it?
Oh mein Gott, er nimmt den Bouncer.
Spamming. Oh, he's spamming the trigger.
Ah, Bruder.
That was a jump.
Halt's Maul, Digga. What the
Fuck off.
fuck?
Fuck off.
Holy.
Fuck off, dude.
What the
That's
fuck?
so crazy.
I went through that shitty segment. I didn't see
Goddamn
that.
death path.
Crazy.
All right, at least the
No
very end of the...
way!
Never mind.
No way! Oh my god, that saved so much time.
Und ich dachte, du wirst gut, Bruder.
Honest in this game. Nothing's
Ja,
honest
aber
in
ich
this
kenne
game,
jetzt nicht die
bro.
Speedrun-Tipps. What the fuck?
Yeah, of course.
Wait, I gotta see that again.
Okay, I have to explain this. This is the skip that Lance and Not Edge discovered, and I promise you, we made sure that you cannot get enough height by hitting the jump pad. There is no situation in which you can get enough height to reach that second jump pad. But Karem doesn't land on the jump pad, he lands on the side. Maybe not that, that's what happens if you don't time your grab perfectly to catch your landing. Instead, he grabs to catch himself, which increases his friction, giving him a release boost, which gets him up the ramp. And then, right before he hits the jump pad, he grabs again, giving him a second speed boost, where he clips the box collider of the jump pad, and because he's heading up, and with his newly added speed, he can reach the second jump pad, skipping the entire last section. It really is the culmination of all the skips combined. So impressive. Anyway, back to the run.
Boah, das ist so satisfying irgendwie. Oh mein Gott. Huh?
Final jump.
What is he doing? Slow down.
Boah, das Game ist echt geil. No joke, gutes Game.
Lines it up.
Nerve-wracking. Oh, yikes, almost fucked it.
Digga, verrückt.
Oh, you still have to go there. That's nerve-wracking.
Oh my god. The reverse turn in?
That's awesome.
That's
That
fucked
was a
up.
fantastic
no business being
run.
that
I didn't think this game would be
Damn, that was
sub 10
cool.
minutes.
Oh, like a real ice skater.
I did not think it was possible.
9:57. Wow.
That's fucking crazy.
Fun game, though.
Woo! What an impressive run. And it turns out that Space Hunter's run, although absolutely cracked and so creative,
You missed. You fucked up.
was only remotely close to Karem's time.
Oh.
Why is there a hole there? Why is there a hole there? What is he
Hey,
doing?
did he mess up on purpose, or is this like the dream? What the hell?
Because they found some insane out of bounds skips. You dirty dog.
Verse.
Yeah.
Miss.
But he's still like, you know, Karem's not making any mistakes, and he's
okay.
Which is amazing, and I'm so glad they submitted, but was illegal for the final run, disqualifying them. Meaning Karem actually won by nearly 30 seconds. So, congratulations to the top 5 runners, to Karem for winning back to back to back, and a huge thank you to the entire speedrunning community. Whew! This was a massive video that required a ton of research and time, and I'm itching to get back to work. So there probably won't be any new videos for a while. And who knows, maybe we'll do a small update in the future for the game, but the only way to know is to subscribe and to buy the game on Steam. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.